Hello and welcome to another update video on Bitcoin. So yeah, red candles. Some of you woke up to red candles. I mentioned it, however, already in the last video. So the latest count and roadmap is on the chart. I want to share with you in this video the short-term bearish projection, short-term bearish, and also where things could be going should the market turn around directly, which is possible because, I mean, technically speaking, we don't really have an impulsive move down yet. It does look impulsive, but we do not yet have a proper five-wave move, also not on the stock indices, yeah? So we want to take a look at that. I will also show you the NASDAQ chart briefly, and then we will, take a look at the shorter time frame Bitcoin chart anyway. So looking at the daily chart, this is still our scenario, obviously. We can track here in this move to the downside a potential B wave in our white scenario. This is currently preferred due to the breakdown we had yesterday, which was obviously, there was a catalyst that triggered it. However, I have to say, because people told me on X, what about that escalation? You know what I'm talking about. Don't want to talk really about that. It's not part of this channel, and my answer was the probabilities for the white scenario and the drop to around about 99,200, they were already higher before any escalation, okay? Before all the news came in, yeah? So it was already baked into the charts. As I always say, the charts really don't react so much to news as people think they do, yeah? There have been studies about it and much more. No, it was already in the chart. We saw it earlier yesterday, right? That was when first micro support broke. It told us the market is weakening and downside was preferred. So that is why Elliott Wave can help us anticipate things like that even before news events. It doesn't always happen. It doesn't always work. But if you want updates like that, either check out our gold membership or you might also follow us on X, where there are additional updates. So for example, yesterday, let me see if I briefly find it. I might not find it, but here, that was 20 hours ago. Should the price break decisively below 106,495, then the door opens to a drop to 99,260. And then 13 hours ago, that was before the rapid sell-off. At the moment, even though support, I think, hadn't broken, at the moment, price action favors the white scenario, which could open the door towards 99K. So already 13 hours ago, I believe that was before anything happened over there. And again, this is simply reading the charts. We had a three-wave move up. So we always have to react, obviously, to the latest price data, right? So until here, it could have been that the market takes the yellow path higher. But obviously, educational moment here. We had a three-wave rally into resistance and the rejection late yesterday. And that set the stage for the decline, okay? It might have happened a little bit faster then, due to whatever's happening in the world. But bear in mind, there are always things happening in the world, all right? So there's always something happening. And I mean, you can't relate every event in the world to a chart move. It just doesn't work. It's much more complex than that. It goes beyond our comprehension. And to be honest, it all relates to market sentiment. So whatever happens in the world, in the markets, to someone individually, it all leads to fear and greed, and those emotions can be found on the charts. Okay, and that's what we're reading. So we don't take the diversion to talk about news and then understand what the market has done. That doesn't make any sense. News people are always late anyway. No, we use the chart to understand market sentiment. Because market sentiment is what moves the prices anyway. It's not anything else. The news might shape sentiment, but sentiment is shaped by a lot of other things as well. So it's not just a news event, okay? It all comes down to sentiment, and sentiment is shaped by so many things that we can't even comprehend. But the good news is we can just use our analysis to understand sentiment and where sentiment shifts. And at the moment, the sentiment favors a further continuation to the downside to 99,227 to 92,830. It looks like that at the moment, but again, we're talking about smallest price action movements here, smallest movements. So there are always parameters for a certain roadmap. And I will also share with you on the smaller time frame, what if we break above initial resistance? So we'll talk about that, but this is still the zone to watch next. A, B, C. It would be an ABC structure after we had a rally here. In an A wave, then a B wave down. And if we see any impulsive reaction to this support zone, then this could be the start of the C wave up. We have to be careful because technically, while this is the first target zone, between 92,830 and 99,227, a wider B wave can happen. This is the ultimate support area, $81,340 should not be broken in any bullish scenario. Now let us take a look briefly at the Nasdaq chart. This is one I do cover from time to time in our gold membership and more regularly in our stocks membership. The thing is, with this one, I charted yesterday how a 5-wave move down would look like. So this is it in orange, from a potential top, from a potential rally, after a rally that happened from the April low. I marked it with a question mark because really unless we have a break below this swing low from the 5th of June at 21,470 and a 5-wave move down, there's really no evidence for a top. Because this is still a 3-wave pullback. And we're still not really having that sequence of lower lows, lower highs. So at the moment, this is a 3-wave move down. Things can still turn around, which might have an impact on Bitcoin as well. Okay, because there are some correlations. Not always as people think they are, but there are correlations. So we could get one more low here towards 21,350 to 21,288, but a break above 21,734 indicates that this is not going to turn into a 5-wave move. And the 5-wave move is so powerful because this is telling us where the trend is going. As long as we are not seeing 5 waves down, the market could still easily extend higher. So at the moment, it's not so much about predicting that 5th wave down. It's about watching whether the market can form 5 waves down, and then a next rally, which would be a corrective rally and happen in 3 waves, could confirm that further and even present a short trade setup. So nothing decided yet in the stock market, but it will be an interesting day in the market. Now let us take a look at the short-term Bitcoin chart. Let's see if anything exciting is happening there. I don't think we really have any change from the last video. So what we deal with here is a decline in the C wave after a potential B wave top. That's wave C of B. And the nearest resistance, similar to the Nasdaq, is at 104,083 to 105,572. I think roughly this one was already communicated in yesterday's video update. I've shifted it slightly, I think, because the price dipped a little lower after the update, which is normal. When we have a decline, we simply move it with the price. This is the nearest resistance area. Doesn't even mean that we are bullish above it, but there is no sign that even a local low has formed as long as we stay below resistance. So someone asked me earlier today, what if we test resistance? Is that bullish? It's not, because these levels are there to be tested, right? And please note that until we see a clear 5-wave advance, there is no sign of a low. Now, if we break above resistance and the market finds a way to form 5 waves up and the 3-wave move down, I need to see that so-called 1-2 setup locally. Then it's possible that still the yellow scenario is playing out. Yeah, yellow scenario in which we could move higher directly. But I would need to see more evidence, because this would be based on wave 1 as a 3-wave move. So the whole thing would be a diagonal pattern. So see, ABC, we already have it on the chart in wave 1, but that would relate to wave 3 then as well. It would have to be an ABC structure and will be difficult. ABC will be difficult to map and will be a bumpy ride higher. So for now, today I think the focus is on 104,083 to 105,572 as initial resistance area. This would be micro resistance. And then if we break above it, then there will be another resistance area to watch, which would need to be broken before any major breakout. And it's typically the 78.6 retracement. So that would be upper resistance. That would be tested next. Why is it important? Because normally, while this is micro resistance and keeps the direct impulse down intact, imagine we're not dealing with an impulse down, but maybe some kind of a diagonal, then this resistance will come into play. And only if it's really broken, the pressure will shift to the upside. So it's like two stages. Yeah, that's at the moment what I'm watching on the Bitcoin chart. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Also, if you're interested, check out our X profile for further updates. Here you get, additional news updates, mindset stuff, and also additional videos. Yesterday, for example, I published a video here on CRV and will continue to publish videos that are specifically to be found here. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.